Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Surviving and Thriving Neurodiversity the Natural Way. So, the reason why we're all here this evening is we decided as a team that people really needed to find solutions, but under one umbrella. And so, our mission is to educate. And when we educate, you can then make your own informed choices. So by pulling everyone together, you can pick and choose what services you need, whether you need one, two, three, or just one, whatever suits your family needs, and we'll all be together to support you through your journey. The reason why we are introducing people to the natural oils is they're really quite different from anything that's on the market today. It's nothing that can be bought over the counter, and they are CBTG oils where they are strictly regulated, not only by the company, doTERRA, but also independently. So we want to educate you in how to use these oils successfully, supporting ADHD, autism, and also with bioresonance, natural detoxing, Tanya's support groups of how to educate what you need in the workplace, what you need in school, positive psychology. We're really pulling everything together so that you have everything in the one place, which we think will really benefit you. So if you've got any questions, put them into the chat and the team will try and answer as we go along. But don't worry if there's no questions, you don't find your questions being answered. We will look at the chat later and we will get back to you. So we will look at the really, I suppose, powerful oils and how that they actually connect with the body. They're not synthetic, there's no fillers or additives. So the body acknowledges them as part of their own, and really just how we can support the community. We don't claim there's no miracle cures, but we support. And the best way to do that is by pooling our resources. So tonight we have the lovely Tanya Bright, who's going to educate us on how sleep and we can actually put in techniques and also to regulate emotions. We've got the lovely Lisa Lomas, who's going to speak to you on bioresonance and also how to do natural detoxing. And then, of course, Em and myself, we're going to talk about 4 powerful oils, and that being peppermint and frankincense, and also vetiver and lavender. So without further ado, because we've got a lot to get through tonight, I'd like to hand you over to the lovely Tanya Bright.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Rachel, are you going to pop the slides up or can... Yes, I'm doing my little intro first. Wonderful. We've got a lovely tech lady, Rachel. Well, she's not a tech lady, but she's our tech lady this evening. So thank you, Rachel. But guys, I know a lot of you on here don't know me, so I'll quickly introduce myself. And my name is Tanya Bright, and I am the founder of the Bright Centre. Before I dive any further into just quickly telling you about myself, this evening, whether you identify as neurodivergent, as neurotypical, or somewhere in between, this webinar, this session is really designed for you. I'm going to explore emotional dysregulation as well as sleep challenges, and then the essential oils will come in with the other lovely, wonderful ladies on the webinar this evening, and we're going to connect them all together. The 2 topics I am covering really, really affect so many people. And, it can show up really differently, but everyone can experience it at some point, regardless of neurotype, life experiences, and our daily habits. Next slide, please, Rachel. Thank you. Amazing. So guys, just a really quick bit about me. So I've more than 10 years of experience as an expert coach and consultant in neurodiversity and mental health. And my goal that I work towards every day is to help individuals of all neurotypes to lead healthier and happier lives and to thrive. Guys, it's not about coping. This word coping is so substandard. Why is that okay? It's about thriving, and that's what we're all here to help you guys do. Today, I've been able to help many people from around the world from all different backgrounds, whether it's due to challenges that come with being neurodivergent, things like low confidence, stress, clinical anxiety, PTSD, and so much more. I have a master's in science, the psychology and neuroscience of mental health from King's College London, and I'm a mental health first aider as well. And guys, as well as doing coaching and consulting, I work with different organisations and educational institutions to make them more neuro-inclusive. So that means basically helping to support the neurodiverse community whilst also helping to educate the wider community. And guys, at any time, if you think that it will be helpful for me to have a chat with your organisation or maybe your educational institution that your child or loved one might be a part of, please get in touch, guys, and there will always be a wonderful benefit for you for doing that, such as a £100 gift card. So guys, I always like to ask, what is your why for attending? Because as we know what our purpose is, we can really make positive change. So what is your why for being here tonight? Is it because you or a loved one struggle with emotional regulation? Do you or a loved one experience sleep challenges? Do you want to learn more about essential oils and understand how essential oils can help you? Because there are minimal resources for support? Are you feeling lost and unsure of the right steps to take? Do you want to stop waiting and take positive action and gain support today? Guys, my goal also is to make sure that this session is practical and interactive. So I am going to get you involved and keep you awake this evening. And, you know, hopefully, guys, you'll be able to take at least one tool away with you. And there will be some fantastic webinar benefits as well. But let's get started. So, guys, a quick lingo check. I will use a couple of words, but I just want to make sure that you understand what they mean. So neurotypical, the neurotypical brain is the majority in a non-prejudiced way. Around 20% of people are known to be neurodivergent, with the remainder being neurotypical. Remember though, everyone, all of our brains are different. Not one is identical. We are all neurodiverse. So neurodiversity, what does that mean? It refers to a natural variation in the kinds of brains in terms of development, and that what is natural is beneficial. The neurodiversity movement, we encourage inclusion and respect for everyone. Now, the term neurodivergence is for when an individual's brain processes, learns, and or behaves differently from what is considered as typical in air bunnies. And some examples of neurodivergence are either there in the little spectrum circle, guys, or in the list there, and I'll just read that out. So autism spectrum disorder, I am going to use the official medical names, ASD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD, sensory processing disorders, social anxiety, Tourette syndrome. And there are more, guys, that is just some of them. Now, I'm just going to start with a quick check-in. Have you ever felt an emotion so strongly that it was difficult to control your reaction? Or maybe you struggle to wind down at night when you're exhausted. Guys, if either of these resonates with you, please drop a yes in the chat box. Let's see how many of you can relate. They all start flooding in. Yeah, thanks, Ruth. Anyone else? Jules, thanks, Jules. Yeah. Yes, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, Nikki. Thank you. Yes, times two. Thanks, Madeline. Okay, so guys, as you can already see, so many of you struggle with some of the same things, and you're not alone. Emotional regulation and sleep are really closely linked to how our brains process information, stress, and sensory input. So, guys, okay, thank you, and keep sharing in the chat box, and let's dive in. So I'm going to start with emotional dysregulation. What is that? It might sound obvious, guys, but what is it? Well, emotional regulation is the ability to manage and respond to emotions appropriately. Emotional dysregulation in neurotypical individuals can often be linked to lower emotional intelligence, particularly in areas like emotional awareness, impulse control, or emotional resilience. Now, in neurodivergence, it looks different. But for example, guys, this is an example of how emotional dysregulation can look in the neurotypical population. So if we imagine a neurotypical manager who receives unexpected negative feedback from their team, instead of processing the feedback constructively, they react impulsively, raising their voice, becoming defensive and dismissing their team's concerns. Later, they might ruminate on the incident, feeling overwhelmed with shame or frustration, but struggling to regulate their emotions. So in this case, the dysregulation stems from difficulty recognizing and managing emotions effectively, which is a key aspect of emotional intelligence. While they may not experience emotional dysregulation as persistently or intensely as someone with ADHD or autism, their response still demonstrates a temporary struggle with emotional control. So now, guys, in the neurodiverse population, next slide, please. Thanks, Debbie. Neurodivergent individuals can really experience heightened emotional intensity, delayed recovery from emotional distress, and difficulty identifying or expressing emotions appropriately. So this is linked to difficulties with executive functioning, sensory processing, and hypermobility. If you didn't know, guys, joint hypermobility has been linked with increased emotional dysregulation. And I'm not going to dive into what executive functioning is in detail today, but just very quickly, guys, your executive functioning is basically how to manage your everyday life. It's your admin team. So it's your working memory. It is managing things like organization, prioritization, procrastination, but it's way more complex than that. But that's a little overview in a bit of a nutshell. So, guys, the best way, again, to understand how emotional regulation or dysregulation can show up is through examples. And everyone can differ, but here is an example of a morning in the life of an autistic young person. So, it's getting ready for school time. The first trigger, unexpected changes in routine. The bus is late or the school schedule has changed. But this unpredictability can create anxiety. Trigger number 2, sensory sensitivity. So bright lights in the bathroom, the feel of certain fabrics, or the sound of an electric toothbrush may feel overwhelming. Trigger number 3, time pressures. Being rushed to get out of the house may lead to frustration or shutdown if the child is not given adequate transition time. And it's these triggers that cause the emotional dysregulation. So again, every person is different, but here is a bit of an example of a day in the life of an autistic adult. So during work or daily responsibilities, trigger number 1, social interaction. So navigating small talk, interpreting subtle workplace dynamics, or masking to fit neurotypical expectations can be draining. Trigger number 2, sensory overload, bright office lights, constant background noise such as chatter, typing or phones ringing, or strong smells such as perfumes and coffee may lead to shutdowns or meltdowns. And trigger number 3, task switching. Sudden interruptions or shifting between tasks without warning can disrupt focus and lead to frustration. Now, guys, that's autism, and I'm just looking at autism and ADHD today. But so here, very quickly, guys, is a day in the life of an ADHD young person. Again, each ADHD person is different, but here can be some potential triggers that leads to emotional dysregulation. So at school, lessons and social interactions. Trigger number 1, difficulty sustaining attention. So long, unengaging lessons can lead to zoning out, fidgeting, or talking out of turn, which might result in reprimands. Trigger number 2, impulsivity in social situations. So blurting out answers, interrupting others, or struggling to interpret social cues can lead to feelings of embarrassment or rejection. Trigger number 3, executive function challenges. So forgetting homework, losing supplies, or feeling unprepared may result in shame or frustration. And lastly, rigid classroom rules. So struggling to sit still or follow strict routines may lead to feelings of being unfairly punished or misunderstood. And lastly, guys, a day in the life of an ADHD adult. Now we're going to look at the nighttime, wind down, and bedtime. So, potential triggers for emotional dysregulation. Trigger number 1, hyperfocus or overstimulation. Getting absorbed in hobbies, gaming, or scrolling social media can make it hard to transition to sleep, causing frustration about the late hour. Number 2, difficulty processing emotions. So ruminating on perceived mistakes or unfinished tasks from the day may lead to feelings of inadequacy or stress. And lastly, inconsistent routine. An unpredictable bedtime or lack of structure may exacerbate difficulty sleeping, leading to a cycle of exhaustion and stress. I'm going to come up for air. Can anyone relate? Please feel free to either say yes or share your experiences in the chat box quickly. Oh, thanks, Emma. Absolutely relating. Cindy, yes. Jane, yes.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Cherry, Deborah, thank you guys. Yeah. Yeah, lots of people can relate. That's it. Yeah, there's so many triggers throughout the day that can cause this emotional dysregulation. Thanks, Jules. Oh, you're often sent out or told off. Yeah. Yeah, so much for that. Thanks, Veronica. Feel free, guys, to keep sharing, and I'll move on now to some tools, guys, to help. So again, I don't have much time with you guys this evening, but just very quickly, and I'm going to get to a little webinar giveaway, which hopefully will give us a bit more time at a later date, but some tools initially, guys, to improve emotional regulation. So interoceptive awareness, your interoceptive skills is understanding your bodily signals. So once you have better interoceptive awareness, you can understand better body signals of emotions, which can then lead to improving self-regulation. So for example, if you start feeling your heart rate before the anger escalates, you can do something about it before it becomes bigger. Cognitive reappraisal. So that means reframing thoughts. And by reframing thoughts, this can really change emotional responses. So guys, for example, instead of I failed, think I learned something new. And studies show that this type of cognitive reappraisal can really improve emotion regulation in both children and adults. So it's really, really powerful. And body-based approaches, so techniques like deep breathing, weighted blankets, sensory grounding exercises can really help manage emotional overload, especially in autistic individuals, but it does work for all neurodivergents as well. So it's really, really, really powerful stuff. Guys, any of those strategies do you already use? Just very quickly, just so I know. You have difficulty expressing emotion. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to say Dave and Shelley because I don't know which one of you it is. Thank you for sharing. Guys, anyone use these strategies already? Weighted blankets? Yeah, brilliant, Ruth. That's excellent. Oh, Sarah, I can't see some of what you said just because I don't want to come off my screen. But guys, if anyone does put any questions in there, I will absolutely get back to you later on. So feel free, and we are going to have a quick Q&A at the end. Thanks, Cherry. Amazing. Brilliant. Yeah, good. Some grounding. Lovely. Okay, guys, again, feel free to keep popping in the chat box and we will engage with you in a little while. Yeah, weighted blanket's really, really brilliant. And I know this sounds really, really funny. Sorry, Rachel, but thank you. Just stay there. If you guys get hot with a weighted blanket, and I apologize for your possible energy bill, is put a weighted blanket and a fan. So it's all about really supporting sleep. But guys, nice and organically, I'm coming into sleep now. So the second part, guys, of my part of this webinar this evening is sleep struggles. Now, it's massively shared in the entire population, the whole neurodiverse population, but specifically, neurotypical people might struggle with sleep due to stress, lifestyle factors, poor sleep hygiene, while neurodivergent individuals often face additional challenges like sensory sensitivities, delayed melatonin production, hyperarousal, and difficulties with transitions or executive functioning. Guys, believe it or not, 86% of neurodivergent individuals struggle with sleep, including insomnia, restless legs, sleepwalking, sleep talking, night terrors. Sorry, I left off my T. We'll go with night terrors. Why not? Emotional dysregulation also worsens sleep quality and vice versa. So also, guys, there's a massive connection between these two topics that I'm covering this evening. So then, vice versa, poor sleep increases emotional instability, leading to a very vicious cycle. So, guys, just quickly, so I don't take up loads more time this evening, it's some tools to improve sleep. Next slide, please, Rachel. Thank you so much. So here are some tools that hopefully you can put in place straight away. Consistent routine sounds silly, guys, but going to bed and waking up at the same time really, really helps your sleep. Light exposure management. So morning light exposure helps regulate your circadian rhythm. So guys, your circadian rhythm is, in a nutshell, sun goes down, you go to sleep, sun comes up, you wake up. But what you can do is get a sleep lamp, or also known as a SAD lamp for SAD. Those are brilliant. Also, reducing blue light at night can really help improve melatonin production. So about 30 minutes to an hour before you go to bed, either stop looking at the TV on your phone, make sure it's on the night mode, or get it where you can have it as a grey or a yellow light rather than the blue light. Sensory support. So like we were just saying there, guys, a lot of you use weighted blankets already, but deep pressure stimulation also. Essential oils, which I'm going to leave to the absolute pros. They're going to talk to you about that in a moment. Music with layers. When I say layers, what I mean is music that has sort of light music as well as maybe animal noises, as well as maybe somebody talking. Blackout blinds and controlled breathing exercises really support relaxation. And lastly there, guys, but please make sure when it comes to melatonin and supplementation, consult your doctor or healthcare provider before just trying supplements. Melatonin also, guys, you can only get over the counter as well here. But so melatonin supplementation, really helpful for especially autistic individuals, but it has been proven to help all individuals. Again, everyone's different. And magnesium has been shown to help with muscle relaxation and reducing anxiety, which can really, really help to improve sleep. Guys, 20 minutes, or I've taken up a little bit longer, sorry. But before I hand you over to the lovely Lisa, thank you for listening. I know it's a lot of information, but again, guys, it is recorded, so you can always go over it. But I'm giving away 2 freebies. The first freebie is I have a webinar next week, which is on the 12th of March for burnout and masking. And I'm offering, guys, every one of you on here 50% off. The link is, I'm going to actually pop the links in the chat right now, guys. I don't know if everyone can see the ones from earlier, so I'm just going to pop the links in the chat there. So you've got 50% off the webinar, which takes it down to £10, which is wonderful. So it's a 90-minute webinar, and you're going to get loads of resources with it as well. There's the link, and there's also the link if you want to have a bit of more information about the webinar, you can take a look at the landing page, which will share with you some more information. There's also a free 30-minute call with myself, guys. I've put in some slots over the next few days, so absolutely book a complimentary call with me to discuss whatever challenges might be going on for you, and I can absolutely help. And then there's also the link to my private Facebook group where I dive into a new topic surrounding neurodiversity and mental health every week and do a free live training in there as well. So the links are there, guys. I know they're going to get emailed out to you as well. But thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Jane, and the lovely ladies also for having me. And hopefully you will all stay with us for the rest of the webinar. So thank you so much. Oh, and sorry, over to you, lovely Lisa.
Thank you very much, Tanya. That was amazing. So much information in such a short time. Well done. Right, Rachel, can you share the first slide, please? And it's coming up. So I know quite a few of you here, but not everybody. So I'll just do a little intro for myself. I'm a bioresonance practitioner. I trained in Germany for bioresonance in 2018. And somewhere along that journey, quite early on, I also got to know all about the oils. And that has been one of my absolute favourite tools to use alongside the bioresonance and other things that I do, such as sports therapy. But the oils I'm leaving to the other girls. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about 2 of the tools that I use, just briefly for what will probably be less than 10 minutes, and with a very specific focus on neurodivergency, which I kind of need myself, obviously. Okay, so what is bioresonance? Basically, this is in a very nutshell. There's an awful lot of information out there on bioresonance, but to put it very simply, every cell in the body has a frequency, and what bioresonance seeks to do is to discover and analyze the frequencies within a person's body and find the disturbances in those that relate to burdens on the body. For example, if we were to put the frequencies that a liver should resonate at, and then we find a disturbance in that, there's obviously a burden on the liver. So what we can then do is put the correct frequencies in, much like 2 tuning forks of the same size, and then at some point the liver is going to start to resonate correctly. A lot of these disturbances or burdens on the body can be linked to just a few different things. I've popped them in here. So geological stressors. So I don't know if people have heard of geopathic stress. That's something that can cause people lots of burdens on the body. Electromagnetic radiation, so EMF from our devices and electrical things within our home. Toxins like heavy metals and glyphosate is another bad one. There's all sorts of toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis. Plastics, xenoestrogens, or pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, or parasites. So I've mentioned the tuning fork again there because that's one of the best ways to illustrate the way bioresonance works. So if you have two tuning forks of the exact same size and you ping one of them, the other one is going to start to resonate as well because it is the same size, and just the same with the frequencies going into the body as well. So we can move on to slide 2. So this is the device that I use. So as I say, I went to Germany and finished my training in 2018 with the company that makes my device, which is RayNX. I use the PS10 device for treating and analysing as well. And then a Hunter non-linear system for quick scans. So that's like a quick way and a visual way of finding out what's going on with the body. The reason that I really love the RayNX is because it's a frequency resonator rather than a frequency generator. So there's a lot of bioresonance devices on the market, and a lot of them actually generate the frequencies using electric frequencies. So this is something that's not necessarily going to be as, oh, can we just go back one, Rachel? Thank you. So this is not something that's necessarily going to be as good for the body as using natural sinus wave frequencies. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that I particularly like the RayNX device. Okay, we can move on to the next one. Thank you. So some useful applications. So we use the bioresonance device for lots and lots of different conditions, but the 3 things that I think would be quite interesting to you guys tonight. One is testing for heavy metals and other toxins such as the glyphosate, and supporting the body to detox from such burdens, because we don't want to be leaving them in there. And then the RayNX compact programs, they're in the support of conditions such as ADHD and autism. What they've done there, RayNX has gotten many people together, done a range value test, which is basically the body's energetic fingerprint on lots of people that suffer with all kinds of neurodivergencies. And they've found out what things are common with each of them. And then they've put those into programs to help us as bioresonance practitioners to support these people. And then there's also support programs for neurotransmitters, such as glutamate and I'm trying to think of all of the others. There's lots and lots of neurotransmitters, oxytocin, and all the different hormones in the body that help to bring things back into balance. And then there's also programs for stress, for anxiety, for depression, and lots of other mental health challenges as well. And these can be done remotely or in person. So that's just a little bit about the bioresonance and what it can do. Here's a couple of offers for anybody that's attending this evening. So we've got 10% off in-person treatments, which would be potentially any that are taken before the end of April. And then we've got 15% off remote analysis. So obviously this can be anywhere within the UK. Sending a sample to me analysing the sample, and then we have a chat over Zoom to discuss and make a plan for how to help. Thank you. So now we move on into the heavy metal detox. So this is inspired kind of from my own journey of looking at the root cause treatment. I quite admire the work of Dr. Hulda Clark, and she's very much a proponent of get rid of the heavy metals, because heavy metals attract parasites and bacteria. Can you just go back one? Heavy metals attract bacteria and parasites. They then sort of naturally find pathways to the brain and cause problems there. So this is one of the reasons why I think getting rid of any heavy metals within the system is really, really important. Thank you. Next slide. So why is it useful? So there is a school of thought that indicates that there's a genetic link with neurodivergent people being less able to efficiently detox from heavy metals. The jury's still out on this. There's a lot of research still needs to be done. But needless to say, we are exposed to heavy metals on a daily basis from many sources. From the air we breathe, it's in exhaust fumes, it's in our food sometimes, it's in our water, and it's in some medication. So any additional burden on the body from toxic load is going to create difficulties, and then that's going to add to the challenges that are already experienced. Next slide, please. So what is zeolite? So this is a naturally occurring adsorbent material. So adsorbent is unlike absorbent. It's the chemical or the compounds attached to the surface of the molecule rather than being absorbed. So it's a little bit like compared with paper. and kitchen roll. Kitchen roll is absorbent, paper is adsorbent. So it's got the ability to bind certain compounds to its surface. And for over 10 years, it's been used in animal foods to limit their toxic exposure. Certainly sort of as the actual mineral powder. And then that's helped within the digestive tract of animals in their food. But it can be used in humans for reduction in toxin bioavailability. So we're talking mainly here about nano-sized zeolite. So it's where it's been attached to a water molecule, and then that can be used as a full body cellular detox because that will go anywhere in the body that water goes. So it's a really fantastic concept, really. It has a honeycomb structure, and it binds to toxins in the body and helps to eliminate them. And it's also stable in an acid environment, so it remains useful in the GI tract. Thank you. Next slide. So some of the properties of zeolite. So it's the removal of exotoxins, which are produced by bacteria when they grow. So as bacteria grows in our body, if there's any imbalances, it will start to thrive. It produces exotoxins. They're poisonous proteins within the body. They don't do us any good. So zeolite's really, really useful for that. It's also useful for the byproduct of fungi, which is mycotoxins. It's really useful for removing heavy metals, removing excess ammonia in the body, which is a byproduct in the liver, the kidneys, the intestines. There can be an imbalance there as well. And then excess cholesterol and bile. It's really, really useful for lots and lots of things, but particularly here we're talking about heavy metals. So although it is a mineral, there's no receptor sites in our bodies, so our cells do not absorb or take on this mineral. That means it just passes straight through the body in an average of 4 to 7 hours, and it takes the longest toxic load. And there is some studies, well, there's lots and lots of studies, but research shows that within 12 weeks or with 12 weeks of supplementation, gut integrity was improved. So that's, of course, going to help with anybody that suffers with leaky gut syndrome. Okay, next slide. So these are the two main products that Touchstone Essentials make. There's two really big companies that produce a very good nano-sized zeolite, and this is one of them. I really, really love this product. I've used it quite a lot. So the difference between the two, so we have this is all the same company. We've got the gut detox on the left. So this is the Pure Body Extra. And this is larger molecules. So this is more like the actual zeolite mineral made into a solution, and it's directed specifically for the detox in the gut. And then we have the PBX spray. So this is a tasteless spray that you just spray in the child's mouth, or adults use it as well. This is where it's been attached to a water molecule and will go anywhere in the body. And we find some really amazing results with because you're kind of taking away the parasite's food. So although it isn't a parasite cleanse in itself, we do find it does have that effect for a lot of people as well. Okay, next one. So this is just, I'm not going to read all of these out. These are just 4 of many, many testimonials in one of the Facebook groups for this particular product. As you can see, it's helped a lot of people. This is very much centered towards children, but of course, there's lots of adults that use this as well for many reasons. Perhaps you could take a screenshot of this if you want, or I can send you the link to the Facebook group that has all of these testimonials in. But it is incredibly helpful for lots of people. It's a really good tool in a toolkit of many options that you can have. The next one. Okay, so this is a few of my links just so that we can stay in touch. I do have a link for the zeolite, but I prefer not to just give that out. I'd rather have a consultation, even a short one, just so that I can help you. I'll tailor my recommendations to your family, because the last thing I would want is for you to get the wrong product or not know how much to use or anything like that. So if there's anything, if there's any interest in the zeolite spray, please do get in touch with me so that we can make sure you get the right products. Okay, next slide. I think that's my last one. Yes. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm now going to hand over to the amazing Emma Davies, who's going to share lots of lovely, wonderful things with the oils.
Thank you, Lisa. I absolutely loved that. I was relishing it. I almost forgot I was next. That was so good. So welcome everyone. I'm going to talk about frankincense and peppermint today, and the benefits of this. So when the slide is up, I'll be able to explain more about it. One of the things that I thought I would start with is explaining who I am. So I am Emma, and I am a wife and a mum of two. My son and I are actually waiting for our assessment for ADHD, and my son for autism and ADHD. So a lot of the things that are being discussed today really, really resonate with me personally. And so I do find this fascinating. Now, we're working with essential oils ourselves, and we're finding benefits from quite a few of them, and two of them in particular are frankincense and peppermint. Frankincense particularly is fascinating to me because of how versatile it is, and where it comes from really, really matters. But thank you, Rachel. So let's have it focus on frankincense first. What is it? Where does it come from? And where it comes from really does matter. It's good to get to know if it's synthetic or what trees does it come from and what environment does it come from, because they thrive, as we do, in specific environments. Some trees, they thrive in certain soil types, so they might prefer sandy soil, or they might work better with dry, rocky climate. So it's really good to know where they come from. And sourcing, what doTERRA does is they actually source it from different locations to ensure that the resin is harvested where each variety of that Boswellia tree, which is where frankincense comes from, it makes sure that each of these varieties of the tree grows in the place that it works at best. And also helps for these trees to not be over harvested as well, which is a really important thing. It protects the trees. One interesting fact is that one Boswellia tree produces 1 to 3 kilos of resin in one season, and a season is approximately 5 months. I just found that incredible. Each tree can produce that amount of resin. Resin then is carefully cleaned, organized by size and color before it's then distilled. But notice that it's hydrodistillation, not the usual steam distilled or cold press distilled for essential oils. This is really important because it involves a different process that works better for the resin to be able to extract that essential oil. Steam distillation, it wouldn't be as effective, and it's really important that it's done in the correct method. Why does the quality and the purity matter for frankincense? Well, it's good to note, and it has been mentioned earlier too, that not all essential oils are created equally. The sad thing is that we may see 100% pure written on a bottle, and it may have some pure oil in there, but it may not actually be 100% fully pure inside the bottle. And it's really important we check where we're getting it from. Some of them can be adulterated, some of them can have synthetics in there, some might have a low quality frankincense in there to bulk it up and make it, profitable. And it's a sad thing. But why this is important is because if we're using it for our brains and our bodies to be able to function properly, and we're needing it in our cells, then we need to have the purest of the pure. Next slide, please. So the natural chemical components and compounds inside frankincense are what we really need to know that they are pure, because they work in a specific way. And what's fascinating there is that frankincense has powerful benefits, and some of these are to support healthy immune response, to promote overall skin health, and also to support healthy cellular function. That is what happens inside the body. And then when we have these healthy cells inside our body, then they're able to act out these roles that are really important on the screen. Energy production, immune support, waste removal, tissue support, neuro support, metabolic health supports. Honestly, there is so much there. So there are 2 QR codes on the left-hand side, and there is some research there if you did want to have a little look. And what's interesting is in frankincense, there are particular elements inside the frankincense essential oil, and I'm not going to go into a massive science thing here, but what is fascinating is that the majority of frankincense is alpha-pinene, and that can support, it may support these different things like cardiovascular, nervous system, digestive system, cellular function, soothing to tissues, things like that. So if we now look at the next slide, we can see some practical ways that we could use it. So I decided to think of it as a day, and depending on our needs, we may not need to use frankincense all of these times, but if we needed to dip in and out and use frankincense throughout the day, these may be some really good examples. So we start on the left in the morning and we ease through the day, and by the evening we may find frankincense useful. Frankincense for me is a morning and evening especially, and depends if I'm struggling in the afternoon. I love to put frankincense in the palm of my hand and inhale it, or inhale it from my bottle, so I have some here. And with this frankincense, I also like to take it internally. I can take it in capsule, I can put it in the roof of my mouth, but this is only with this frankincense that I use from doTERRA. It is, as mentioned earlier, it is absolutely pure and guaranteed, and we can source that. And you can ask us any questions about that and we can send on details. But this is really, really helpful. It helps inside the body, helps with our cells to work. Now for immune support, really wonderful. You can put it on your spine, you can put it on your feet. I love putting it on my feet. And also it can be used to wind down in the diffuser. So at the moment, I currently have frankincense and peppermint in the diffuser, because as you'll notice, you'll find out it really helps with focus. So I'm on it tonight. But I do find as well with frankincense, it's really versatile and it helps other oils work harder too. So with frankincense, it can be with lavender, for example, in the evening, really calming and really lovely to have. And you can use it with carrier oil. You can create a roller bottle and you can have carrier oil in it diluted with specific dilution guides that we can share with you, and make it into a roller, put on our pulse points, put on our temple, behind our ears. There's so many ways. If stress is lingering, just put it on your temples and deeply breathe for a moment of mindfulness. Next slide, please. Thank you. So here, true frankincense testimonials, these ones came specifically to me. So I wanted to share some of them. These are things that we've got our little community and we're able to ask people for honest, real testimonials. And I absolutely love that. And I love getting the good, the bad and the ugly. So these ones were really lovely because hearing what they use them for, frankincense, some people are using it in the diffuser for skincare, making beard oil, by the way, I've done that too, for relaxation, for supporting discomfort. There's just so many things that can support families, and I just love the fact that frankincense does a wonderful job for many different people. They can find it comforting and soothing, and again that's down to the chemical compounds that are inside frankincense. There is beta-caryophyllene that helps with soothing tissues. It can soothe blemishes, it can support healthy inflammatory response, lots and lots of things. Next slide, please. Thank you. So let's focus on peppermint next. Peppermint comes from the aerial parts, the outer parts of the plant that come out of the ground. So we would know that, and I love the smell of it. When you feel it and you smell it off the mint leaves, it's just beautiful, isn't it? Again, different climates and soils impact the chemical profile of the peppermint plant. And it's really valuable to get those people who are knowledgeable, who have the experience, to know exactly where to source these and get the right oil to us so that we can benefit the most from it. The Pacific Northwest apparently has got a really perfect climate for growing peppermint. And again, that helps then because it's got specific type of rainfall that is needed to support the peppermint plant. And that also helps with the essential oil that comes out, and it gives it that beautiful minty flavour. And in peppermint there is menthone and menthol. Menthol can help with aromatically uplifting us. It can also support feelings of clear breathing, cooling and soothing effect on our skin. It may support healthy cellular function as well, digestive health. So it's a wonderful oil. Next slide, please. Thank you. So again, some practical ways that we can use it. Peppermint is used an awful lot in our home. Again, when we have a well-sourced peppermint, we may be able to use them in different ways. And I've just got a few examples here. If we're feeling sad, anxious, struggling, we need that refreshing boost, then we can use it aromatically. So we could inhale it from the bottle. We could inhale it from putting 1 drop in our hands, rubbing it together and cupping our hands over our mouths and inhaling that deeply, perhaps 3, 4, 5 inhalations. You could do it with box breathing, for example. So it depends on the technique you want to try. For some people, they might want to do it short and snappy. For others, you may need to linger a bit longer. And then we've got, obviously, in the diffuser as well. You can put it in the diffuser. For relieving restlessness, I love to put this on my feet. So the brain reflex point is on the bottom of the big toe. The sinus area is the little toes. And if you look into all of this, you'll find where you may be able to use it properly. And for you and what's effective for you, it's all trial and error, experimenting and seeing what works well for you or your child and helps. And when calm comes, focus follows, doesn't it? So, sorry, yeah, just briefly on the last slide if you can, sorry Rachel. Then calming emotions, again, so many places, like I said, on the spine, even on the chest with some carrier oil. Make sure with peppermint, it's quite it's got a lovely cooling sensation, and with carrier oil, it just helps to carry that oil elsewhere into the body and into the cells and support you. And again, soothes away tension. If we've got any tummy tension or back tension or anything like that, knees, we can help to relieve that and support our muscles too. The cooling sensation is epic and does need to be tried. And if you're near a draft, even better if you're needing that kind of sensation. Next slide, please. Thank you, Rachel. So here's just a little example. You are possibly, maybe you're struggling on Zoom right now, and maybe you're feeling a little bit sluggish like that brain. Then this is just a little method of how you can look after yourself and perhaps emotions. We can notice how we're feeling. That's step 1. Step 2, we can put 1 drop of peppermint. If you have peppermint right next to you, grab it if you'd like to. Put 1 drop into your hand, rub your hands together to release that aroma, and then cup it over your nose and mouth. You can rub it then afterwards on the back of your neck to give you that lift. And then when you're inhaling, as I mentioned earlier, that 3 to 4 times, really useful. It will evaporate after a little while, so you'll notice the aroma does go. But if you can get that good deep inhalation for the first few, it's really good. Then just reflect and notice that feeling, that how you're responding to the essential oil. Pay attention to that surge of energy or uplifting feeling when you're smelling it, and connect with the thoughts that you have. How are you doing inside? Has it changed anything? And when you connect with that, it's really helpful to notice what the difference is and what it can do. And the fascinating fact, essential oils can reach the brain really fast, circulate into the bloodstream very quickly as well in 2 minutes, and they can be found in cells all over the body within around 20 minutes. So that's why the quality and the purity of these oils is really, really important. Next slide, please. Thank you. So feedback in my little group, this is what I've got feedback from different ones. Peppermint's cooling, great on the pulse points, the back of the neck. Somebody's hubby, this was brilliant, this testimonial. Hubby works out all day in the cold, miserable when he gets in. Inhaling peppermint has been really helpful for warming him up. So it supports that circulatory system, and it can do what your body needs, which I think is amazing. And it also can cool us down. So it's a really supportive one for if we have any sensory needs that we might need to take care of. Peppermint is one of the essentials. We don't run out of it. Again, other people find it helpful with sore muscles or aches and things like that. And then some use it in the diffuser to help with immune support too, or even for focus. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this is my feedback, my personal feedback of how peppermint helps us in the family. Frankincense, On Guard, which is another blend, peppermint, rosemary, these really are stimulating. They help with memory. There is a kid's oil, it's called Thinker. It's really supportive for me, and it has peppermint in it, and it helps my brain focus. And my son struggles to accept the oils if I offer them to him. He really doesn't like being offered things or being pushed into things. But the other day I was using Thinker on myself and I didn't offer it, and he asked for it and he put it on because he knows how it makes him feel, and he's 12. So I really feel like it's really nice to be able to have it as a family, and we can all use them, and they're diluted really well for us. My husband, very skeptical of these essential oils at the very beginning. It didn't take him long to notice how quickly they worked. And for him, he's just so thankful there's no extra nasties there as well. And then I tracked something. So I wasn't very well last year, and I tracked how I was going through really a difficult time with my temperature, and I was also struggling to breathe. And it was just incredible to see how fast, and you can see the times on my text messages. I tracked it, and within that short time from 10:07 to 10:38 in the evening, I had managed to cool down a lot. So peppermint is incredible. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. That was really interesting. I'd love to hear how all the oils have been affecting you and your family, and how we can actually implement that in our own lives as well. So for me, my oil journey started through illness, and tonight I'd like to focus on vetiver and lavender when the slides come up. So perhaps you could maybe identify with this slide. You're trudging through life, you're running on empty, and you've got sensory issues, and you're finding it hard to sleep, and your emotions aren't regulated, and one thing compounds on top of the other, and you think, is there anything out there that can help? Where can I find resources? So that's why we've pulled all this together for you. So taking just even the top 4 oils that we've spoken about and are going to speak about, we've looked at what Tanya's had to say, and also what Lisa's introduced as well. Compiling all that together and implementing all the different strategies in our life, we can really turn from just surviving to actually thriving. So let's see how these oils can actually support you and make you feel as if you are fully charged. So next slide, please. So perhaps you can identify to this. Do you ever feel labelled that you're really just surviving in life, and people pigeonhole you? You feel that you've got your own negative self-talk to deal with. You feel confused, you're overwhelmed. It can be quite a lonely time when you're on the neurodiverse spectrum. You can feel depressed, you're overwhelmed, whether it's in school or workplace, or even just being in a public space. Perhaps you feel trapped in your own thoughts and your own feelings, and you feel that overwhelming emotion of sadness. And then you feel you never fit in, you're always on the outside of the box. So let's see how we can try and help you and support you to change these negative feelings. Next slide, please, Rachel. Thank you. So in this slide, you can actually see that the boxes are now empty. So how can you go from living in a world where you feel all these negative emotions to all of a sudden being outside these boxes and actually thriving in life? So let's take a look at the next slide. So let's look at vetiver first. Now, we know that vetiver is a member of the grass family, and you think to yourself, what can grass do for me? And it's actually a really, really powerful oil. It's unlike any other grass where it's the actual roots that the oil's taken from. And when you look at how the country that it comes from and how the soil is actually impacted, it's a really rich, thick root system that it's got. And it's been found to be very grounding for ADHD, autism, and anybody within that spectrum, where it has this grounding and very calming effect. And it's particularly really good for regulating emotions and also incorporating it into a bedtime routine. So we can look at the country that it comes from, Haiti. And doTERRA don't just look at where plants are grown, they look at which countries it's coming from, why does it grow well there? So therefore, how is that going to impact in the oil that's put back into the bottle? And then how does that impact on the user? Because of the emotional grounding effects that vetiver has, it's a widely used oil. And when you actually look at the harvest time, it's really important to look at the ethics behind the company, and that's why we love doTERRA. The ethics is from harvest to the workers, to transportation, to bottle, and then to home. And there's a whole ethos behind that, which you feel that you're really supporting something worthwhile as well. So vetiver is doTERRA like the grass to be grown for at least 12 to 18 months. And that way that the actual root system becomes really healthy, which then has a more powerful oil from the process of harvesting it. So next slide, please, Rachel. Thank you. So what I would like to do is, we hear all the examples of what we've found in our own personal use of the oils. We talk about the company, but is there any outside sources that can actually verify what doTERRA and users claim? So I found a really interesting article, which we will put in the chat later for you to actually download. And it's from the parenting magazine, the ADHD and Autism magazine in America. And they just actually published a study in January there in the magazine, and it was Dr. Friedman. And what he actually said, he's actually produced a list of 10 core oils, which are specifically good for ADHD and autism. So he goes on to talk about where they're all sourced from, what's the chemical compounds, and how these essential oils have actually been proven to produce physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Next slide, please, Rachel. Thank you. So these essential oils have actually been compared to human blood, which I found absolutely fascinating, just because of the similar properties and the way that these oils work. It boosts the immune system. It helps to stimulate the nervous system at a proper level where you're not overstimulated and you're not understimulated. It's also antimicrobial in nature. So doTERRA is very much about treating the body as a whole. It's not just the mind and the body as a separate. We want to treat the body as a whole. And we know that within the spectrum, lots of people have gut issues, find it hard to regulate temperature. Their senses are very heightened. So when you're inhaling a scent, not only do you want it to be acceptable to the brain, but you also want it to be of good quality to what you're actually taking into the brain. So these small molecules, when you actually inhale it, it's increasing oxygenation and it increases the activity of the brain, while other oils would then go on to balance mood and emotions and even causing a calming or grounding effect. So very powerful in what they actually do. Thank you, Rachel. So there was a study performed using children, and again, you'll be able to read the full report within the 16-page download. And it was really interesting that he took children who, to his knowledge, had not been medicated. So it was a clean sheet. And he used, in particular, vetiver, cedarwood and lavender. Now, he had these children inhale 3 times a day, and he found that the outcome was actually dramatic. The inflammation of the oils, it proved to settle the brain waves back into a normal pattern. It also improved performance and also their behavioural patterns. So each child was tested with each oil for 30 days, and then each child was tested combining the 3 oils for 30 days. So let's go on and see what the outcome was. So here we have the results. Lavender increased performance by 53%. Cedarwood increased performance by 83%, and vetiver increased performance by 100%. Now, this study has actually been published in the American Medical Association journal, so feel free to, to check out these statistics yourself. For us, that's absolutely mind-blowing, that essential oils that are so pure that they connect with the body, and the fact that the body knows how to process them. Where does it send the body? It knows where the body needs it. It knows where the brain needs it. And that to me is just mind-blowing, that these beautiful oils that we can connect with can actually have such an impact on a community that's really struggling at the moment. So many opinions and different types of testing, and yet nobody seems to be able to come up with conclusive answers. And yet, when we don't get conclusive answers, we can still look to a form of treatment that's really powerful. So next slide, please, Rachel. So let's look at lavender. So for me, frankincense and lavender was my combination right from the start. I had really bad sleep issues, as does my father. And I only slept for 3 hours a night. I thought that was normal. And so when you get up into more of an adult stage in life and you hear conversations and you hear people saying, oh, I had a bad night, I slept for 6 hours. And I'm like, I've only slept for 3 hours. Is this not normal? So anyway, when I first started using lavender and frankincense together, it was for something completely different, another health issue. But I absolutely realised, oh my goodness, this is my sleep combination. So I went from 3 hours to every night from then on, 7 or 8 hours solid sleep. And if nobody's tried lavender and frankincense together, then I recommend everybody to try this as some of their starting oils. So again, we look at ways that we can use it, things that are good for the environment. So we would inhale directly, we can diffuse it at night, we can make room sprays, pillow sprays, even putting it into a warm bath with magnesium flakes, which we spoke about magnesium earlier, Epsom salts, your dryer balls for your tumble dryer, all of these things that compound to a healthy well-being. So next slide, please, Rachel. Thank you. So the 2 sources would be Bulgaria and France. And again, for time, we'll not go into the reasons why they're actually sourced there. But again, we can trust the research that doTERRA does and why they choose specific countries, and how that these oils really come 100% pure, and they are top quality. So we'll have a quick look at the circadian rhythm for sleep. We know that the body has its own clock. And as Tanya already pointed out, when the sun goes down, the body starts preparing for sleep. When the sun comes up, the body starts to know it's time to get up and get on with activity. But what is recognised within ADHD and autism is sleep is very hard to regulate. The circadian rhythm is way off. So what can we do to help improve that by means of the oils? And that would be to bring in lavender on its own, a mixture of lavender and frankincense. Lavender and frankincense, as I said, for me is the go-to. lavender and vetiver. So it's interesting that vetiver is a very grounding, helps with the emotional regulation, and it also helps with sleep. But the body can then turn it into, well, what else can I use vetiver for? What else can I use lavender for? And it very much dictates to itself where it's going to use these oils. So in the studies that Dr. Friedman did, he saw that it helped with symptoms of hyperactivity, stress, sensory overload, anger, and even transitioning from one environment to another, or recognizing what's your triggers, using the oils before you're going to change from, maybe it's in the school, moving classrooms, or in a workplace, taking on a new assignment, and then down to, of course, sleep itself. So definitely lavender is very powerful for that. Next slide, please, Rachel. So how does doTERRA want us to be natural, love life, and actually thrive? Well, let's find out if we move on to the next slide. So purity, as we've already discussed, the natural and best natural way to be pure is to have the top oils. And of course, it's important. And now this was actually taken again from Dr. Friedman's study. So again, it's an outside independent review. And he really put it across that purity does matter. We want to treat our bodies with the best, and we can do that with what's called CPTG oils. And these are certified pure therapeutic grade oils, nothing that you can buy over the counter, but they are certainly something that works with the body, and we can actually thrive. And that's something that we want to share with every one of you. So when I read this article and I saw doTERRA come up, I thought I knew that I was on the right track. And of course, we all feel that we want to share that with everyone. We just can't keep it to ourselves. So we are proud to be doTERRA. So thank you for listening tonight, and hopefully you haven't been too overloaded with information, but you can actually feel the passion when each of us speak. We've got something to share that's really beneficial, and we want you to pick and choose what suits you. We're all under one umbrella now, and we can actually share our resources and hopefully point you in different directions as your needs change. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll hand over to Rachel, who's going to speak about a few special offers, and then we can have a very quick Q&A at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Tanya, Lisa, Emma, and especially Jane for bringing all this together. It's been wonderful to learn so much. So I'll just finish off by just sharing how we can get hold of the essential oils if anyone is interested. As a team, we're licensed distributors of doTERRA oils. We're certified to be able to teach you how to use them safely and effectively for your family. And although tonight you've had a bit of a whistle-stop tour of how to use essential oils very briefly using 4 oils, there are so many oils that we can use to support us, but it can be quite overwhelming to get started. So we've got a few resources that we're going to help you to get on board with, and I'm just going to share that now. Okay, so firstly, Jane's put together a thriving neurodiversity group. So if you know someone who's struggling, if you want to just quickly scan that QR code there, you can join the support group where you'll get lots of information from tonight, but also new information and how to support with using various oils and also other therapies, including Tanya's coaching and other things like that. So if you want sort of all-in-one group to learn about everything, then feel free to join that group. And as we said, we've talked briefly about essential oils, but if you're very new to essential oils, it can be very overwhelming. So we do recommend you sort of solidify your knowledge by joining a class that we've got for free. to the public on Monday, the 17th of March at 7:30 p.m. You can scan that code to register, and there you'll have a bit of an A to Z of essential oils, basically going through the basics, 3 ways to use the oils safely, dilution guide, and also how to use the 10 core oils, which include those that we mentioned tonight as well. So I definitely would recommend that. And obviously we'll share these codes in the chat as well. So just going on to talk about oil, because obviously there's so many essential oils and it's difficult to know what to choose to support your family and where to start. And Jane and Emma have done a fantastic job at sharing 4 really important oils that can help so many. We've got some wonderful testimonials. That's why we picked those 4, because we've had some amazing results, and they've brought us to tears many times with the stories that we've heard from families and children really being supported through the day, and it's been life-changing for many. So I just wanted to just share very briefly, but we'll learn more on the intro class, how the 10 essential oils can support our family, both emotionally and also physically. So we've already mentioned lavender, frankincense and peppermint in there, but we also have a variety of essential oils, and this is known as Dr. Mum's kit. It was originally known as the Family First Aid and Wellness Kit. And this can support you through first aid, you know, bumps and scrapes, earache, tooth pain, as well as tummy pains. If somebody's got anxiety, we know that affects your tummy, butterflies, as well as cooling you down. We've got so much there that obviously this is not an intro class, so I won't go to talk about it. But just know that these 10 core oils, it's just an amazing start. We've all started with this, and we will continue to for the rest of our life. It's been a game changer, and we use these every day in different ways. So with the kit, a lot of people say, well, if I get a kit, I'm just going to get a box of oils and I don't know what to do with them. And that's where we come in, because we're all the same. We started with a little first aid kit and we're like, this looks amazing, but I don't know, I'm scared. So with the kit, you get us, you get the support, you get the one-to-one. So everybody tonight, whoever's invited you, if you just get in touch with them at the end and just say, I'm interested, send them an email, and then they'll send you some kit lists where we've got some great offers on, which I'll just show you on the next slide before we end it. And they will give you a one-to-one. Once you get your oils, you'll be trained up. We've got free online courses that you can join, so you can be qualified, even certified yourself, only short courses, but you can really know the safety, but also how to use it to support your family mentally, emotionally, and physically. So they're the 10 that I'll just show you the snapshot, because it can be quite overwhelming and we don't want to be feel like that. And some of the kits that we mentioned using the 10 core oils are here, just to give you a guideline. We've got a great offer on, and tonight the offer includes the 10 core oils, and the family kit is the one I started with. That's a 5 ml kit. So there's 85 drops in 5 ml bottles, and that can last a long time. And the Home Essentials kit is triple the size, but less than half the price. And you get some amazing oils with it. Now, we haven't talked about things like wild orange and balance and copaiba for neurodiverse people, but they are amazing oils that calm in our nervous system, similar to CBD oil in helping to calm us. Wild orange is great for sort of stimulating our happy hormones in our brain, and balance is very grounding for children who are flying off the handle, for us, for people who struggle with panic attacks and things like that. There's so much we can tell you that I can't really tell you all tonight, because that is a class in itself. Just bear in mind that these kits are available for the rest of March. Whether it's something you're thinking about soon or in the near future, definitely contact us and we can go through and explain how to use them more. Yeah, and obviously there's add-ons like we talked about vetiver, the Serenity, and some accessories that would be great to add on to your collection there. So without further ado, I'm just going to open it up to questions, really. We've got the lovely Emma, we've got Tanya, and we'll just stay on for another 5 minutes and answer any questions if you have any. And feel free to say goodbye and leave. It's been lovely having you if you need to get off. We understand we've run a bit over. Yes, Deborah.
Unfortunately, it's not a question, but I have ADHD and I've been using doTERRA essential oils for over 5 years. I'm not fully cured, obviously. However, in day-to-day life, I find them so incredibly supportive. And the balance blend, even though you've mentioned the most beautiful blends and oils, single oils today, the balance blend, I've used it today. I pop it in my shower. It's the grounding blend. It has 6 beautiful oils in, and one of them is frankincense. And I have to say to anybody, if you've never tried an oil, even if you ask one of these ladies on the screen for a sample, I would definitely recommend it because it has changed my life in a really positive way and really supported me by just using diffusing, just inhaling, rolling, perhaps with a carry roll of choice. So I would definitely recommend it.
Thank you, Deborah. That's a really good tip there. Okay.
Hi, I would just like to say I know Tanya, not personally, but one-to-one, and I would highly recommend her services as well. She's, when I've struggled, she's always been there. Even at 8, 9 o'clock at night, she's been there. And yeah, it's just, it's been very informative, and thank you to you all.
Thanks, Vicky. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. I can see any hands.
Let's see if there's any more
I'm
questions.
I'm looking for some questions. There were some questions earlier on, but thank you so much for being so busy in the chat. I'm trying to find them now.
Fortunately, I couldn't
We
see.
will go back over the chat. We will go through it as a team, and if we've missed any questions, we will get back to you. And of course, there is the different links there to contact anyone, whoever's invited you. Then you can contact them, and we'll be happy to answer some more questions or give you some support as to how to choose different treatment. And we'll point you in the right direction as to how to contact Lisa or Tanya or Emma, whatever. And of course, there is other ones on who have brought their own people tonight, which we thank you very much for that. Also, there was loads of testimonials, which we literally have run out of time. So in the WhatsApp group, we're going to post everything in the WhatsApp group where you can read the testimonials. And we really want it to be an interactive group, share blends with each other, be supportive, talk about what works for you, maybe even what hasn't worked for you with the oils or some other form of treatment, but how you've tweaked it and now it works, and get that interaction going where we want a really good, active, supportive community. And we're all under, as we say, this one umbrella where you can actually pick and choose and dive in and out of the different services that we've brought to you. So we really hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed being with you tonight. And we hope to see you on our next classes, or even if you contact us personally. So thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you again.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Good. Well done, girls. That was
Well done, everybody.
fantastic.
Sorry if I went just a minute or two over. I actually realised I hadn't checked the time when I started. I was like, oh no, I haven't checked. Like that. And I wanted like a timer or something. I had a timer on my phone ready and like my slides, so I knew what the next slide was. And then I didn't even look at the time. There you go. I definitely know I've got something going on in my brain.
I think that went well. That was good. I enjoyed it.
That was lovely.
Yeah.
And do you know what was incredible was just seeing how many responses, Tanya, to your questions. Like they were obviously spot on.